Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison. I want to welcome you to this session of Humanity Rising as we convene our 6-day program on peace on earth by 2030. Today is the 21st of September. It's officially the UN Day of Peace to coincide with the fall equinox. And so there's much that we need to ponder as a human family on this day, particularly in light of Secretary General Gutierrez's speech to the United Nations General Assembly yesterday, in which he said that the situation pertaining to climate change is now so severe that we've moved beyond code red, which he declared 3 years ago as the situation on the climate issue. We now are at a moment, he said, where humanity has unleashed the gates of hell. And I think it's important as we contemplate all issues to take in that humanity has so egregiously mismanaged its planetary affairs and relationships that we have quite literally opened up now the gates of hell. He didn't announce heaven on earth. He says that where we're at is at the beginning of an apocalypse. And that's very sobering for all of us as we commemorate peace on earth, as we commemorate the equinox, and also as we take in that concurrently with this, the US government is preparing to release information, incontrovertible evidence that extraterrestrial intelligences exist. They've been operating on planet Earth, and that essentially and most fundamentally, humanity is not alone. If you take in the contradiction of what Gutierrez said and the possibilities that are now available to humanity, the inescapable conclusion that all of us must make at this moment is that we have now entered into what Martin Luther King called the fierce urgency of now. It's no longer we've got to get it together by 2050. We've got to get it together by some date into the future. We're now in the now. We are now in the fierce urgency of now. And all human beings have to come to grips with that reality. So I'm feeling this urgency in my soul as we open up today to address all human beings of our species, not the dogs, not the cats, not the whales, not any other species, but the human species. To say that we've come to a moment of deep choice where we're either going to destroy ourselves by our own hand because of our disregard for each other and the planetary ecology, or we're going to seize the moment of coming together to fulfill the mission for which I'm coming to realize humanity was created. And I'd like to just step back for a moment and share this thought. If you think about why our species was created by our Earth over the last 4.5 billion years, laboriously cultivating life and an ecosystem of harmonic perfection with thousands and thousands of interactive life forms. And out of that emerged the human species. So capacious, so agile, so resilient, and so creatively intelligent that we became in some ways like gods on earth. And over the last 20, 30 years, we've been now pushing out into the exosphere, landing on the moon, sending probes to Mars. We are the Earth's impulse and capacity to begin to take Earth planetary consciousness and sophistication out beyond the Earth into the galactic totality. At the moment where the extraterrestrial intelligences, particularly over the last 75 years, have been becoming increasingly present globally in an accelerating way with a simple, clear, common message that humanity needs to stop killing each other and destroying the planet, starting with nuclear weapons, which has been their overriding concern. The possibility of humanity having a nuclear holocaust that would not only destroy humanity, but damage the planetary ecology. And I want everyone to think about this for a second. If the human race destroyed itself at this moment, as Gutierrez is telling us we are, the planetary impulse to create the refinement necessary to start conscious interaction between our planet and the larger galactic intelligences and systems that are out there would be forced back probably millions of years. And the Earth would have to start again to cultivate a life form that would be capable of the conscious interaction. So if you think about why humanity was created at this cosmic level, we're actually been created to be an enzyme, a catalyst between planetary ecological life and consciousness and the larger cosmic totality that we now have the opportunity to interact with in a conscious way, and even through humanity, move beyond the Earth and begin extraordinarily creative interactions with extraterrestrial intelligences. And what we are being called upon to do is just simply stop the killing and the violence and begin an age of global cooperation and interaction. And what was occurring to me as I was reflecting on what Secretary General Gutierrez said in light of the possibilities for humanity at this moment, is I thought, just imagine if starting now, people would take a vow consciously, individually, collectively, if they could organize it, just simply to do no harm and to begin proactive cooperation and collaboration with everyone that they meet. I imagine everyone that would make this commitment and make this vow, you would get a little button that says, I love you. So whenever you would meet anybody, they would know that you're going to do no harm. Even if violence is transacted against you, that you would still do no harm. And you would seek in every way you could to be loving and helpful and generous and cooperative and collaborative with everyone that you met. We need, as a species, to come to the realization that we're acting like a virus on this planet and we've unleashed the gates of hell. And in this fierce urgency of now, we have to, as a species, create peace on earth. So what the Empowerment Institute is bringing into the world, I believe, is the most important imperative facing the human race right now. We've got to establish peace, and it needs to begin with every single one of us making the commitment that moving into the future, we're not going to do any harm to anybody or anything in the planetary ecology insofar as we are able, and that we will talk to people, everyone that we can reasonably approach, about the fact that we are now in probably the most sacred moment in the history of humankind, where after the laborious but inexorable creativity of our mother to create our species for the noble purpose of being a catalyst for her interaction at a conscious level with the rest of cosmic life, we have a sacred trust. And all we have to do to get to that moment is stop the violence at every level. And finally, I just had this thought form around December 2021, in December, when the US Senate is going to pass the bill ushering in this 7-year process of ET awareness. Just imagine if President Biden, on behalf of the American people and on behalf of the world, would say from the Oval Office, my fellow human beings, we are now at a moment where we have to collectively take in the reality that we are not alone, and that there's an extraordinary opportunity to interact with intelligent life forms, not of this earth. And in order to do that, we have to have peace on earth. And so I hereby, at midnight tonight, call upon all US forces around the world that are engaging in any kind of hostile action to have a ceasefire and begin collaboration with whoever their adversaries are. Just think if the president could make such a statement on behalf of humanity at this moment and seal up that gate to hell and begin the process of creating heaven on earth. You take in the gravity and the profundity of humanity's ET moment, and you juxtapose that with what Gutierrez said about what we are now doing in unleashing the gates of hell. The only thing that we can be doing as a human race in this moment is establishing peace on earth. That is the only issue left, because unless we do that in a timely way, starting with every individual, the consequences to not only ourselves, but the larger planetary ecology and evolutionary impulse will be undone. And that is the gravity of the fierce urgency of now and the opportunity for our species at this moment. Peace on earth now. Welcome everyone to Humanity Rising. And now I turn the program over to George Caponelli, and he will convene our session for today. Thank you, everyone. Welcome, George.
Thanks, Jim. It's impossible it's impossible to understand the gravity of the moment without recognizing that indeed peace on earth is not just a hoped for possibility, but a deep longing and requirement. I also want to say something that touches my heart. Today is also the World Day of Gratitude. So in some ways, as I listen to Jim and think back on Gutierrez and his comments yesterday, I'm very much aware that we also need to be grateful, deeply grateful for the opportunity that is being presented to us. Deeply grateful and thankful. Meister Eckhart, the 14th century mystic and theologian, often was reputed to have said that if the only prayer we ever say is thank you, it will be enough. So as we think about the urgency, as we think about the consequences, let's also think about the gratitude for being in this place and having this opportunity. Talk about a major task, and it is a task that each one of us can take on. And it's one of the reasons I'm so grateful to be a part of this Peace on Earth movement and to have played a role in making sure that you have the opportunity to experience it today as well. Truly, if there's ever a time when you think about it, International Day of Peace, World Day of Gratitude, the fall equinox, if there's anything that any of us are holding in our hearts that isn't compassion, that isn't forgiveness, that isn't understanding, that isn't a commitment to live life at a higher level of consciousness and commitment, this is clearly a time where we have all of the individual, personal, spiritual, global, and galactic help we need to make that commitment. I want to remind you, if you have not yet had a chance to visit the first 3 days or any one of the 3 days that have preceded this, please give yourself that gift and invite others to as well. The things that have been shared and accomplished, the people who have been present, who have opened their hearts and spoken of their courage and their understanding and their commitment is quite extraordinary. You'll have more of that today, and I don't want to delay our process any further. I'd like to invite David to begin to get today's program. And remember, this is not just something to watch. This is something to participate in. So when the invitation is given for the next peace game in January, or the next gathering, or the next meditation, roll up your sleeves and do it. It's a gift you're giving to all of us. David?
Thank you, George. Thank you, Jim. So let's take a moment to just breathe in peace within ourselves, to celebrate a day, the most celebrated day on planet Earth, International Day of Peace, to feel that within ourselves and to realize this is not just a dream. This is a very profound possibility. And my team and myself, including George and Jim and the folks at Humanity Rising, are privileged to be able to be of service on this quest to create peace on earth. It has been my personal journey now for some 47 years when I first had the vision of peace on earth and passing a torch of peace around the world, and having the experience in 1986 when the Hopis were invited to help us launch the first Earth Run that brought a torch of peace around the world and created peace wherever it went, and all wars stopped. The vision that Jim has described. And Grandmother Caroline saying, this is the beginning of 1,000 years of peace. This is the great turning. And I took that charge very seriously. And the game and what we're talking about and the Peace on Earth by 2030 movement and Peace on Earth zones that Miranda will be speaking to, my colleague, is some of the how that is emerging. And there is more to come as more and more people engage. So let me speak about the theme of today. Today is about cooperation, one of the 7 actions: empowerment, oneness, unity, cooperation, abundance, love, and faith. Today is cooperation. And when we were organizing the first Earth Run in 1986, one of the things I became very clear about was there was no definition of peace. There was only a definition of not war. Webster defines peace as the absence of war. Literally, that is the definition. That is our current state of understanding of this idea called peace. It's not a positive thing. It's a removing of a negative thing. It's not focusing on what we want. It's focusing on what we don't want. Much of the work of peace activism has been saying no to war. But what does it look like to say yes to peace? In order to create peace on earth, we actually have to have a positive vision that moves us, that activates us, that inspires us, that gives us something that's worth going towards rather than going away from. So these actions of the game are such. They aren't just to create peace on earth. They create peace within ourselves, but they also transform our relationships with others such that it becomes natural to interact in this way with people. In fact, it becomes so natural. And I love that Jim is always holding the space for us as not the only game in town, but one of a number of species, well, a number of intelligences in our larger galactic universe. And those that are helping us have already mastered this. This was the transition point. This is the point at which you become an enlightened species when you move through this particular transition. And that is the teaching. So they bring more to us than just don't do bad things. They're inspirations for how to do the right thing. They had to get there by virtue of their own unique ways to become an enlightened civilization. And many of them have been there for millions of years. So that's the path we're on. That's the game. That's its aspiration. And so let me just say a little bit more about the context for today. So one of the things we realized was if the absence of war was not a good definition of peace, what would be a good definition of peace? And so when we passed the torch of peace around the world in 1986, our motto was relaying fire around the world to ignite the spirit of cooperation. Again, Jim alluded to cooperation. So cooperation is something that we can say so simply, but it is not easy to do. So part of what we did with the first Earth Run was we wanted to really cultivate the collective intelligence of the human species around cooperation. So everywhere where the torch went, we honored 3 self-help projects that represented the spirit of cooperation and called out the strategies so we could get more intelligence around the how of it that was amongst us, but we didn't know how to really extract it, excavate it. And so that has gone into my psyche. We originally thought we could put it into a database, but that was beyond our capabilities at that time. But it has got embedded in the game. And one of these actions then is to learn how to cooperate for the common good. And so we are cultivating the strategies of all the people who are playing the game and all their cooperation strategies. And there's some amazing ones. And Miranda will share one that has completely transformed a community in Colorado, Crestone, a little later. One more thing I want to say about our evolution itself. So we have had major evolutionary transitions in evolutionary biology and cultural biology. They call it major evolutionary transitions. And the most significant from my point of view, and probably for most people who study this evolutionary biology world, was what happened 800 million years ago. And that's when we evolved from a single cell organism to a multicellular organism. We had an extinction level threat then, not dissimilar to what we have now. It was we had too much oxygen rather than carbon in the atmosphere. And so life had to evolve to process the oxygen. And that was the catalyst, the extinction level threat that formed multicellular organisms. And there was such a proliferation of multicellular organisms that they created 12 phyla. We only have, I think, 4 now. And so that proliferation of cooperation strategies is now upon us. And this notion of radical collaboration, there's a lot of memes out there. The how of that is the art form. And one of the things that we've done is we've created 40 partners, and those 40 partners are cooperating for the common good. We're practicing, we're learning together how to move beyond just the individual identity of a specific NGO or organization. So we're on that journey. That's the journey. So with that said, I want to share a video with you about the Peace on Earth Zone idea that's happening in Colorado. And I'll ask Miranda to speak about that and how cooperation for the common good as a strategy enabled it. A little context on Peace on Earth Zone. So the goal of the game is to have peace on Earth by 2030 through playing the game and taking these 7 actions and transforming one's own life, but then it goes into one's community. And we start to create Peace on Earth zones where these 7 actions and frequencies are practiced. Frequencies are the spiritual essence of these actions. And when that happens, we start to transform a community. And our vision is to have a minimum of 10,000 of these that are modeling the new possibilities, what we might call golden age communities that are living in this new world. That is a positive pull towards what we want. We know what we don't want, but we need a positive pull, otherwise it's hard to motivate people to change. So that's what these Peace on Earth zones are. So I'm going to share a video now that helps you see what one looks like. For those that wish to join us tomorrow when we do our launch of Africa, literally our launch of Africa, we're partnered with the African Union. We're trying to take this across all 55 countries and have a continent model this possibility. More to be said on that. We'll hear about 4 other Peace on Earth zones across Ghana and Kenya and South Africa and Morocco. But for now, let us just focus on Crestone. So let me get this video ready to go. I'll share. Okay. 1 second. Okay. See you in a few minutes. Enjoy meeting Miranda and learning about what she's done and what others have done in her beautiful community of Crestone.
Hi, my name is Miranda Clendenning. I've been working in the peace world for about 15 years with some of the largest peace organizations on the planet. For many years, I've been searching for a way to actually engage many people in activities that can actually help them to learn how to get along and work together and cooperate for the common good. 2.5 years ago, I met David Gershon and found a game-changing solution. This is a game that if enough people play it, could actually create peace on Earth in a decade. I've been so excited about this game that I actually brought it to my community in Crestone, Colorado. The Peace on Earth by 2030 game is a call out to those that want to be social change Jedis, but help recreate and reweave the social fabric of our communities. The game is built around 7 actions that empower people to gain harmony within themselves, with each other, and with our planet. We aim to create Peace on Earth zones in every community we can by 2030. One element of the game, which relates to the Hopi prophecy, is teaching people how to live in harmony with themselves, with each other, and with our planet. The second element helps a community to reweave its social fabric. The third element is about how we create peace on Earth. When an individual starts doing the cooperation action, for example, they start to realize that they haven't cultivated their own inner peace or don't know how to get along with others very well. So they start taking action towards getting better at these things. Before, previously in their life, they might not have had enough inspiration for wanting to work on these things. But once they can see them very clearly that they need work, they start to actually take the action towards doing this. The game provides the tools and the support to be able to do this, to cultivate harmony within ourselves and find our own inner peace, our own empowerment, our own agency. The game also has an element called Reweaving the Social Fabric Cafe, which helps empower our community to heal the differences that separate us. In the experience of running a cafe, I was surprised that people actually didn't want to talk about their differences. They wanted to get right into developing a vision together. We find that people do want to create change. They just don't know how. The elements of the game and the cafe provide the how for people so that it's doable. As a community organizer, I've always been really sad when people put so much time and effort into arguing with each other or saying that they don't want to show up to something because another person they don't get along with is there. Seeing the cafe process start to transform people, that they want to be a part of a shared common vision that's actually making change, is having people put down those differences and actually show up together for one of the first times, and I'm seeing miracles happen here every day. One of the biggest lifts and impacts of this game is the actual belief that peace on Earth is possible if we all work for it. The game helps everyone to cultivate the vision of what peace on Earth would look like in 10 years from now if we actually kept working on that. People get to cultivate their magical dreams of what community would be like, would look like, would feel like in the future if they had everything they would want it to be. This doesn't just happen out of wishful thinking. It doesn't just happen out of us saying it's going to happen. It actually happens when people vision it themselves and see through their own eyes a new possibility. Here in Crestone, we put on an event called Perma Peace Fest. We named it that because we were working majorly on permaculture here and growing food for our community as one of our solutions for cooperating for common good. But it's Perma Peace Fest because we're looking for a permanent state of peace here in our community and actually working for that. Many people came from out of town to help with the permaculture and with the festival. And the stories from that of how palpable it was to actually see people working for peace, and that peace is actually something that we can all work on together and do day to day, even in the event or in the community, befriending other people, cooperating together, actually getting along, working on a shared common vision to have a peaceful community is actually an action. We are on a planetary mission, and we're inviting all social change Jedis who want to create peace in their communities and on Earth, create harmony, and heal the divides that separate us to join us.
Miranda, yay. Did I give you enough time to share out to the world?
Technical difficulties, but not on our end. But
okay. While Miranda is doing this interview, she's also sharing out for the Times Square event that has millions of people across many, many different websites. So a day in the life for Miranda Clendenning, not just a community organizer, a par excellence global organizer. Welcome, Miranda.
Thank you, David.
It's nice to be able to just play with you as opposed to work with you and hear about all your wonderful goodness that you do all day long, and I get to witness all day long. So today we're going to talk about cooperation for the common good, and we're going to talk about your Peace on Earth zone in your beautiful Crestone. So let's start with asking you some questions, beginning with you and your journey. We learned a little bit about you through the video, but you have played the Peace on Earth game, we call it the game, with 6 different teams. Now you're playing it with the global online version. You're not just there to support us and be part of it, but you are actually playing it again for the 7th time. You've now moved to Boulder to start another Peace on Earth zone. Bless your soul. What have you learned about playing the game? What has it done for you? What have you observed it doing for others as you've witnessed so many thousands of people engage in this game?
Yeah, such an honor to be working with you, David, and to get to play every day too, because it literally is play as we do this game. A lot of work also, but to be in such inspirational conversations and give so much hope. I mean, one side of the coin, as Jim and George were talking about, we're in a state on the planet where we need to really wake up to what we're doing to our environment and to each other. And we hope that a lot of people are waking up. But we do find that when people go into more of a state of panic and fear, that they can become paralyzed and apathetic and not know what to do. And that's one of the reasons why this game was created, to help empower people, give them the vision that peace on earth is possible and that we can do all of this together. And I'd say for me, my biggest motivation for that is my children. I have 5 kids and I want them to have a future and a planet, and for all of us to go forward in the most beautiful way possible with amazing lives and amazing relationships. And that's what this game is all about. It starts with empowerment of ourselves and mapping out your dream, your vision for your life, and what peace on earth looks like, and what your role and mission and purpose is in that. And then cultivating through meditation and through a bigger belief that peace is possible, true inner peace in ourselves. And that is, I would say, what I've experienced most is just that continued building of that feeling of peace within myself, and that feeling of hope and inspiration, and seeing so many other people gain that. Literally having youth on some of my first teams, and we ask in the first meeting, do you think peace on earth is possible? And they're like, honestly, no. Like, I have no thought that it is possible. I really don't. And that's just fine. I would never want them to lie about that. It's so beautiful that they actually share that. They're like, no, it can't be possible. And that's where a lot of humanity is sitting with their thinking. But through the transformation of the game and the process, these kids, adults, everybody comes out the other side saying, it is possible. And not only do I now believe that peace is possible, but I believe we have the ability to be change makers in that situation and change our community, change ourselves, change our relationships, change our lives, change the mission that we're working for here throughout our lives and on this planet. And I see them literally transform, including my own children. So vast amounts of amazingness. I mean, we see this in Africa. Peace on Earth zones are one of the most important parts of the game that, to me, I will never stop working at that level. Also, playing the global game is amazing, as we're gathering from all around the world and coming in every single week right now with people from all over the world, and we talk through the actions, we go into breakout groups, and every individual is part of a big team that comes in. But in a Peace on Earth zone, you have leaders in a community that are committing all the way until 2030 to continue having teams until you create peace in your community. And the game doesn't tell you what all of that means. It just takes you through the 7 actions: empowerment, befriending other people, unity. And then we get to cooperation. Cooperation is the one where, when you start talking about, as a community, what do we want to cooperate around? That's when a lot of the magic really starts to happen. And then it doesn't stop. In Crestone, we had a youth team and an adult team, two of the first teams that ever started 3 years ago. And we asked them, what do we want to cooperate around? If we're creating our Peace on Earth zone, what does our community want and need that needs cooperation? And the youth decided that the biggest challenge they would like to face is making sure no child ever came to school hungry again. And it's sad that we even have that problem in our world and in our communities. But they took it to the adult group, our youth group did, and convinced them. And we all said, let's set out on a mission to get cooperation at the greatest level we can in our community and help cure hunger in Crestone. That is our mission for cooperation and for our Peace on Earth zone. And it only took, I think, a month to get every nonprofit in our town in action together, in cooperation, in partnership. We got the county to start giving us grants. We got 3 pieces of land donated for community gardens, and the town hall had a greenhouse attached to it that was just not even being used. So we set into action, and pretty quickly we had about 128 volunteers that came. We had people contacting every food bank network in the area because our food bank was very basically not able to provide for people really in need. They served 100 meals a month. People could go only once a month and get 1 box of food, which is not enough to actually feed a family that's living in poverty. So in just the time that we've been working, in 2 years' time, we were able to increase the amount of meals served at the food bank to 900 meals a month. Anybody can go once a week, no questions asked. And the community gardens are up and thriving and amazing and gorgeous, in the town hall greenhouse, and the youth hauled truckloads of soil and helped build all the boxes, and all these partners are still in action together. And we accomplished the biggest part of what we wanted to, curing hunger in Crestone, in just 2 years. And it's still going. I mean, now there's talks about permaculture food forests. There's more and more land being donated. It's cooperation went to a whole other level, which is what the magic of Peace on Earth zones and being in a physical location, helping solve issues, which become an opportunity for cooperation on a really beautiful level. Kids, adults, everybody that participates together.
So everyone just take that in. 2 years curing hunger, from 100 boxes of food once a month to 900 now. And you're suggesting they go there once a week? Is that how many times they get to go?
Yeah, they're allowed to go once a week now. It's open once a week instead of once a month.
So 9x transformation, if you will, just to put a number around it. That's the power of cooperation for the common good, with a clear goal and the strategies and the tools to enable cooperation. Congratulations, Miranda. And congratulations to all the NGOs and CBOs in Crestone. Hopefully many of them will see this, for your beautiful work, for this extraordinary accomplishment for humanity, as well as for your community, to show what's possible, to be a role model of the possible. What have you learned about cooperation, Miranda, from this journey?
Well, I mean, to me, all of this, it's just the beginning of everything that we're doing. We need so many more communities lit up everywhere and working on these things. And as I said, the game doesn't tell you what to do for cooperation or what you want to tackle. We have, groups teaching women to read in some countries. We have groups working on homelessness. We have groups working on massive amounts of prayer and meditation throughout their city. Climate action, all kinds of different things that they decide to do. But the magic of the game and cooperation is that most of the time, the problem is we don't know how to cooperate. That's really the root of the problem. And so in the beginning of the peace game and in the beginning of the cooperation action, you build a vision that is a unified vision that is compelling, that you all agree you want to go towards, and then you agree that actually learning cooperation and heading towards this unified vision is the most important thing that you're doing. Not growing the food, not curing the hunger. It's actually the cooperation and learning that, because that's what makes so much magic happen. I mean, we didn't set out and say, here's our plan. We need to get partnerships. We need to get grants. We need to get these gardens. We just set out with the spirit of, we want to cooperate to do this. And the rest of the magic just came from all of the inspired cooperative effort. But it hasn't all been just roses. There's a lot of challenges that I brought to David constantly in the beginning. And I'm trained in restorative circles and restorative practices, so conflict resolution and nonviolent communication. So I wanted to organize these circles for some of our leaders that were kind of too many leaders trying to be in there saying, I know how to garden best, or I know most about biodynamic farming or permaculture. It has to be this way. And I need to lead the team, or I need to be in the forefront. I need to be the teacher. So the strongest people in the community are the ones that have the hardest time kind of putting egos aside sometimes and saying, I've been trying to teach this for 10 years and no one was listening to me. Or there's so many things that come up. And so my question to David was, do I facilitate restorative circles, conflict resolution, bring them in and have them tell each other how they're impacting each other with this conflict and keeping things from going forward? And David actually taught me deeper levels of the empowerment framework and empowerment methodology that goes with our Peace on Earth zones and the creation of second order change. Bringing those leaders into a circle in our next meeting and saying, let's re-review our vision and why we're here. What are we here for? And having them repeat that back. We're in a bigger unified vision to create peace in our community, a Peace on Earth zone. And in that, we're cooperating for common good to cure hunger. And our greatest thing for cooperation is to be able to cooperate and help this unified vision go forward. And as soon as it comes out of their mouths, they then start saying, like, I'm sorry, I just realized I've been keeping cooperation from happening on greater levels because of my conflict I've been bringing. And I'm now seeing that I need to get out of the way of this and be a leader in a cooperative way with everyone and do this in a way that we can move forward with peace, with harmony, with unity, and with higher levels of cooperation, not me trying to be the boss. And it was just amazing to me to see that method, that framework. We didn't need conflict resolution after that. They cured the conflict by realizing that the bigger vision that we're cooperating on is actually the bigger goal that can help fix attitudes, fix conflicts. They started apologizing to each other, helped put themselves in right relationship to the bigger whole. And things have been running much more smoothly now. I see a lot of leaders that used to clash actually running events now. We have the Crestone Energy Fair, we have the Perma Peace Fest, we have the music festival, we have the farmers market, but these leaders actually they're loving each other, friends, beautiful partnerships now. But it was a rocky road in the beginning to learn what we didn't know about cooperation.
So let me just build a little context. It's 800 million years ago on planet Earth. We are a very early stage evolutionary species. We aren't even a multicellular organism. We are single cell organisms. And we have to figure something out because we will go extinct if we don't. And so all these single cell organisms started to figure out how to cooperate for the common good. In this case, viability as a species or viability as a life form. So that's what you've been doing, Miranda. And that's what you're telling us about, how that worked. And rarely do we take a moment to debrief the process of cooperation and have a framework. So this is profound learning you are doing, and all those that are cooperating for the common good. And we have a lot of stories coming tomorrow of Peace in Our Zones that are doing variations on this theme. So we are among other things, Peace on Earth is one of our aspirations, but we're also an R&D initiative to learn how to evolve as a species from a single cell organism, AKA a single NGO or CBO or business or whatever, into something larger than that, where we cooperate and learn how to do that. Again, Jim teed up the term global cooperation, easier said than done. It starts somewhere, and it starts within ourselves, and then it starts within communities. And one of the other dimensions of the game is that when people do the cooperation for the common good action, they aren't just learning how to cooperate to create a collective outcome in a community. They're learning that practice within their own lives. Where can I cooperate better with others? What are my growing edges around cooperation for the common good? So that's another dimension of the game. So anything more that you want to say about cooperation strategies from observing people take this action? This is transcendent of just Crestone as a beneficiary of cooperation, but just individuals learning the process through playing the game and having to really work their growing edge on cooperation. And any thoughts or reflections on that question?
There's just so many miracles that have happened with that it's hard to even remember them all. But I mean, I've seen levels of my kids working together and communicating better with us as a family, and some of them have graduated, went through being team leaders and then graduated from high school, and are living their lives in ways of wanting to change the world and create peace on earth. And a lot of our team members, same kind of thing, giving their graduation speeches. Was just amazing to see the transformation. So I'd say one of my wishes is to see as many youth of the planet get to play this game. It's such a special time in their life where not only a belief in themselves and their own empowerment can make all of the difference, but a belief in the world and the future that they're going into, and then how they shape their life from there. I also, when we talk about global cooperation, it's a huge passion. And yes, anybody that comes tomorrow will start to see what's happening in Africa, as we have leaders that are gathering leaders and heads of state and all their communication directors for the AU and URI, and saying, literally, we're going to light up every country in Africa over this next year. And here's this person that's going to do it here, and this person that's going to do it here. And we're recruiting zones and starting full teams in all the countries there. After that happens, it'll go to other continents that we're working with, and just amazing and beautiful cooperation on those greater levels. I mean, I went through the UN peace training when I was way younger, maybe when I was 26 or something. And then I've been to many UN General Assemblies, which is happening right now, the ones for peace at this time of year. And it's dysfunctional. I mean, it's like we're talking about the problems and the pathologies. We're talking about even now that humanity is facing extinction level crisis, but no one knows how to cooperate. And part of it is starting with the belief that we can do that. But one of my greatest wishes is to see our politicians, see people at the UN, see people at global levels of leadership everywhere start to really have these conversations. If we're heading towards peace on earth, if we have true departments of peace, if we're having this true discussion, where are we sitting down and talking and deep thinking? You know, one of the things I appreciate about you, David, is your ability to work with all of us as a team and deeply think and deeply debrief everything that's happening, and then saying, how do we weave this into the game and the next level? What does it need? The reweaving of the Social Fabric Cafe, which is our info session at the end of every game session that each team leads. It's used as a recruitment tool, but also as a tool to look at our community and inspire communities to want to start a POZone and go forward with solutions and cooperation. In Kenya, some of the places, the entire community in the Reweaving the Social Cafe said, we're playing the next round. Our whole community is going to join and make this a peace on earth zone. I mean, it's so touching, and this is what's needed. Our planet is not going to go forward with the solutions that we need until leaders can sit down and deeply think and have these strategies and know that we can create peace on earth and in our communities and do it.
So one of my favorite covert operations that I like is that when I had this experience during the first Earth Run, where we would have all these leaders of the world and they would be receiving the torch, and I would have this half hour before to be with them in the quote unquote green room that usually was just a dais on a platform. And I would get to ask them questions, and we would chit chat. My chit chat wasn't normal chit chat. I was saying, well, what's your vision for peace on earth? What's your vision for having your country be a role model of peace on earth? And it was quite remarkable to see them receive the question and be inspired by someone inviting them to go to a place that they don't normally go to, a noble thought, not just a political thought. And now with Africa coming on board tomorrow, literally, we are the event with our partnership with the African Union. They sent this out to 6,000 CBOs. They call them CSO, civil society organizations, because they're not just NGOs, they're also businesses and many, many other entities, including the leaders of all these countries. So my thought is, let's get a team of African leaders of countries playing the game together. So I'm going to pose that and see what kind of response I get. We have seen that happen with tribal leaders in Ghana getting transformed. Normally, entities, people that would not normally relate to one another. In fact, they've had long histories of conflict with one another. And again, another thing I learned from the Earth Run was people don't know what to do. They don't have any defenses for a vision like this. So they say, okay. So we say, if you want the torch of peace, there can't be any wars going on in your country. Are you willing to go by that? They said, okay. So they stopped fighting. I mean, it was kind of like amazing. So much more is possible. We have to be willing to put out the idea. We have to be willing to invite people to go to a place, their higher selves, their, what we call it, their higher angels. I think that's the phrase that's often used. So much ahead of us, Miranda, and it is a great pleasure to be with you on this amazing, amazing journey. I have one more question that Kat asked you, which is, now that you've left Crestone, what's going to happen to Crestone? I know what's going to happen to Boulder. I'm already hearing that. As of tonight, we've got a big Peace on Earth Zone event. But what's going to happen to Crestone? What happens when Miranda's not there?
Yeah, as I said, the action will continue. There's 128 volunteers that work in the community gardens and the food efforts. We even they were even active delivering food to the elders in our community when COVID happened, because right after our first teams played, the first time COVID happened, and then many things went to online, but we still had to keep running the gardens and taking care of people. But all of that is continuing. All these people are not going to stop. I still go over there. We just had the Crestone Energy Fair, with this being a part of what was presented and a part of the garden efforts. Every 6 months, the county is still giving funds to support the community gardens. So everything's still going there. Actually, to the point that I felt the comfort to be able to leave and come back to Boulder, and that it's going to keep going. There's always glitches along the road, as we say. The food bank is having to change locations and is upgrading to a much bigger location. All kinds of things happening all the time. But I have many, many friends there. This whole network is all interconnected as well. And I don't think you could get people to stop being connected about it now. And yeah, I'm back in Boulder. My family is having some health struggles, so I wanted to be back here close to them again. I was in Crestone for 4.5 years, but in Boulder before that. So coming back here to Boulder, it's like reconnecting with all my friends and community activists, and they're all like, when do we get to play the peace game? We've been watching all of this and haven't started teams here yet. So we have a celebration tonight for the International Day of Peace, and there's a sleep out for youth homelessness that's connected with what we're doing, and just a lot already starting to happen because the timing is ripe. The timing is ripe for all of us. And another level of cooperation that I just want to give a shout out to is our partners with the Peace on Earth game. And David was talking a little bit about the Africa ones, but the people that are playing the global online game right now, like George Capinelli and David Wick and Tez, the leaders of Pathways to Peace, one of the biggest peace organizations on the planet, Teresa Collins with Global Coherence, all of them have their different ways that they have come in and said, not only are we going to partner and help get the word out to our networks, but let us also go above and beyond. David Wick is connecting us to Rotary clubs and their peace efforts are all around the world. Tez and David are talking about personally being leaders for Peace on Earth zones in their community and are playing the global game to learn how it works right now. Teresa Collins and Julie Kroll and Kadi J went and built out a whole communication system for people to talk about their actions and share their videos and get feedback with each other in the connection field in Mighty Networks. I could go on, but a lot of people contact me and say, how do we play with you? What do I do? After they hear these presentations. And there's many ways, no matter what age you are, everybody can play in some way, shape, or form, either by being a player of the game and letting it sink in and transform your life, or whether you step up to be a Peace on Earth zone leader, which we need them. If you care about your community and you're a community organizer, please come and be willing to do that. We train you. We have scripts for the meetings. We guide you on everything to do. It just takes the willingness to say, I'm ready. I want to, join us. And even being a partner, if you have a big network to put this out to, if you want to do interviews, podcasts, you name it. We partner with everybody who wants to play in some way, shape, or form. So there's infinite ways to join us and to be peace in your life and to be Peace on Earth, to create Peace on Earth zones, to be a Peace on Earth partner. And we're open to brainstorming. As David said, there's think and do tanks that pop up all over the place where we meet with people really kind of intensely and hear about their project and what's going on. And those pop up all the time as a new one comes to us.
I want to shout out to Charles Betterton, who's on the call, who's been one of our faithful supporters over the course of time. You gave him the ranking, which is a high ranking from you as our most, I don't know how you'd characterize it, most effective recruiter of people to play the game and partners. So Charles, a shout out to you and thank you. Living Earth Network. And John Cobb, who his mentor.
Yeah.
Let me end our time. Thank you, dearest Miranda. So grateful to have you as my playmate, teammate, conspirator to create peace on earth and many other fun things in our larger universe. So I'm going to close our time with another meditation. We did a meditation yesterday on the unity frequency, and we're going to do one today on the cooperation frequency. So this gets internalized, not just a inspirational moment to give you a sense of hope for the future, but a moment where you can actually bring into your interior some of the how of cooperation and the who of cooperation. So let us move into a meditation mode, and I will guide you through this process. So take a few deep breaths. And as you breathe in, get yourself into a place of quiet and stillness, and let go of the busyness, let go of all the ideas and the intellect, so that you can be more present to your spirit, to your heart, to the sense of your source, your soul. And just affirm that I am in harmony with myself. I'm in harmony with others. I'm in harmony with the earth and all living beings. The mantra of our work. And be in that state of harmony. At noon today, there was a moment of silence. We're a little late, but let us take that moment of silence that is being celebrated today for a minute and just experience yourself in harmony with self, others, the earth, and all living beings. Now open yourself to your higher self, your spirit guides, your angelic helpers, the beings that are on the other side, and invite their guidance as you take this journey of cooperation. So you aren't doing it only by yourself. You have a larger support system. And now invite in the green cooperation light, which represents the color of cooperation and the color of growth in the natural world, which is built upon cooperation. Now visualize your heart filled with green cooperation light, this beautiful, luminous green cooperation light. We've talked about the notion of the growing edge, that next place where I'm growing, where I'm evolving, that next place that helps me to become more than I am currently, the growing edge. What is my growing edge in transforming any competition I may have with others into cooperation for the common good? Miranda alluded to some of those kinds of competition she saw in Crestone. What is my growing edge in transforming any competition I may have with others into cooperation for the common good? And allow words or an image to emerge. This takes it home into self, beyond just the ideas. Now visualize the hearts of your family members filled with green cooperation light. And my growing edge, meaning what can I do to help? What is my growing edge in helping my family members transform any competition they may have with others into cooperation for the common good? Very personal, very much in your real world, in your real life. And allow any words or an image to emerge. Now visualize the hearts of your friends filled with green cooperation light? What is my growing edge in helping my friends? You may see a particular friend jump out right now. Transform any competition they may have with others into cooperation for the common good, and allow words and an image to emerge. Now visualize the hearts of your co-workers filled with green cooperation light. What is my growing edge in helping my co-workers transform any competition they may have with others into cooperation for the common good, and allow words and an image to emerge? My co-workers. And those are at any level of work that you're doing. Now visualize the hearts of your community members filled with the green cooperation light. Think Crestone right now and how that worked. What is my growing edge in helping my community members transform any competition they may have with others into cooperation for the common good? Allow words and an image to emerge. Now visualize the hearts of humanity. Expand your capacity to hold the whole. Visualize the hearts of humanity filled with green cooperation light. What is my growing edge in helping people across the planet transform any competition they may have with others into cooperation for the common good? What can I do? What's my role? How do I facilitate? As opposed to somehow someone else out there somehow figuring it out. I'm accountable. I have agency. And allow words and image to emerge. And now visualize a magical pouch. Those that were with us yesterday discovered there was a Unity jewel stone in it. Today you will discover your cooperation jewel stone to support you on your hero's journey toward creating peace on earth by 2030. Take out this cooperation jewel stone and examine its color, its shape, its size, its texture, and ask it to tell you of its magical power, this talisman, to support your hero's journey. Make note of that. And now put this jewel stone back in its pouch so that it can absorb the high frequency we will collectively generate across the planet. We are now going to raise the frequency of humanity on the International Day of Peace, on a day when the UN is having many meetings trying to figure out how to cooperate for the common good. We're going to raise the frequency of humanity through this last part of the meditation so that we build a field that will contribute to this aspiration and these skills being generated. So we together now will cooperate for the common good in building this field. You are doing this for yourself and for all of humanity as you do this next phase of the meditation. Visualize your heart filled with green cooperation light. See and feel this green cooperation light spreading from your heart to the hearts of your family members who spread it to others. They are now conduits because they are connected to you, because you've offered them this light, because you've infused it in their field. See and feel this green cooperation light light spreading from your heart to the hearts of your friends who spread it to others. See and feel this green cooperation light spreading from your heart to the hearts of your co-workers who spread it to others. See and feel this green cooperation light spreading from your heart to the hearts of your co-workers who spread it to others. Again, feel your agency, your ability to diffuse this energetic of cooperation and the green light. The larger your network, the more power you have to diffuse this. See and feel this green cooperation light spreading from your heart to the hearts of your community members who spread it to others. So your community, like we just saw with Crestone, is already spreading it. It spread it to Boulder. It's spreading it to all those communities that are benefiting from that journey and from that evolutionary act that Crestone took. See and feel this green cooperation light spreading from your heart to the hearts of all of humanity who spread it across the entire planet. See the planet learning, embryonically learning how to cooperate for the common good, but taking its first steps. Of course, we can. We know how. It's in our DNA, literally, from when we did it 800 million years ago and became a multicellular organism. See and feel this green cooperation light spreading from your heart to the hearts of your spirit guides, your angelic helpers, those advanced civilizations that are supporting humanity's evolution, who spread it across the entire universe. Just see this green cooperation light, which, by the way, they are already practicing in their support of us. See and feel this green cooperation light spreading across the planet and universe now and back to you in an ever-evolving spiral, this infinity spiral. But every time it comes back into your heart, it is supercharged with the incredible energy that has been put into it by all the beings that have received it and sending it back to you. So you are literally evolving every time you do it to the next level. See and feel this luminous green cooperation light now fully potentiated, lifting you in every part of your circle into ever higher frequencies of cooperation, ever higher knowledge, ever higher skill, ever higher competency, ever higher wisdom of cooperation. See and feel your community now tipping into the cooperation frequency energetically as you fill it with this and fill all the people with this. You're creating the field for this to then manifest into 3D form. See and feel your community tipping other communities into the cooperation frequency across the world. Now see and feel on the International Day of Peace, September 21, 2023, the planet tipped into the cooperation frequency. Those that are here and those that will view this, those that build this field, we are literally doing it. We know the how on the ground, but this is the energetic part of it. This is the higher work of building and creating a field that enables, creating the fertility of the field, setting the intention. Now see and feel every human heart filled with the cooperation frequency waking up and asking the question, what must I do? Who must I cooperate with? How do I cooperate? I am ready. I understand this. I don't know where it came from, but I'm ready and willing. Now allow this fully into your body, your heart, your emotions, your mind, your thoughts, your soul, your essence, and bask in this vision for a moment. This is your guiding light in living and being this frequency of cooperation, and bring it into your life. Be with that for a moment. And if you choose to play the game, then you will get to really become skillful in this as a practice. Any inspirations you may have from this meditation, please put them in the chat so we can benefit and grow from seeing your experience. So do take a moment if you are inspired to share your experience of this meditation in the chat. I hope to see many of you tomorrow for our Africa launch. Miranda, you can put in the chat if you would, the link. We will start tomorrow at 12 o'clock. So just tune in to Humanity Rising as you normally do, and then that will link into this broadcast that will be taking place across many hundreds of websites and all across Africa. As we see Africa rise up, the cradle of civilization, recreating its evolutionary history again to evolve humanity, and give us all your best prayers and goodwill so that we can launch this and really show the world what is possible. We have a continent that's beginning to open up to an extraordinary vision. So be with us and let us grow this field together. I'm going to close our time by sharing a video that will take us out into the full vision of what the world looks like when it is playing, cooperating, and celebrating this possibility together. And then for those that want to continue the conversation, I will, and I don't know if Miranda, I think Miranda's probably have 15 other things, but if you're free, Miranda, please join us in the after chat. So let me get this video set up, and then we'll end with this. Video. Thank you all for being with us today. And enjoy this video, and see you tomorrow.
It's burning inside, the hurting and the suffering. Minds creating anger, fear and pain, suffocating our times. The tougher it gets, the rougher social media cries. But we see to it that we tweeting only negative lines. We're sick and tired of history, but repeating it twice. Greed, anger and violence, clearly stealing our nights. Feeling it tight between the shoulders with a chill in the spine. Pinching myself, waking up, trying to stop the rewind and move forward towards stories, overcoming our fears. Choosing love over hate, praying, trading hugs over tears. There's only one choice, breaking down the walls and repair every broken heart on this planet till there's no longer fear.
Walls can't hold us in. Fear can't keep us down. Love will rise again. Yeah, it's rising right now. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna take much longer,
We shall overcome.
every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We have just
gotta push much farther.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Young Gandhi couldn't fathom how to deal with himself when he was thrown off the train and the pain that he felt. Mrs. Parks disrespected, dragged into jail because of the color of her skin, organs, tissues, and cells. One day, a young girl was shot on a bus by a man, a terrorist, part of the Taliban. He said, "On this land, you have no right to stand for what you believe in. Girls have no chance here." Well, now, that's just the story of 3 souls who shook our planet after being down on their knees. And it's not gonna stop. Those seeds have now become trees, and as human beings, we'll keep on digging till we find peace.
Yeah, the cynics always say that nothing ever changes. The human nature's bound to stay the same. But it couldn't be more plain that violence never pays, injustice never stays. It's bound to fade away. What if history awaits? What if today's the day? So let's all lead the way. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna take much longer.
We shall overcome.
Every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We have just begun.
Gonna make a change, we gotta push much farther.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. Come on now. Longer.
We shall overcome.
Every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We shall overcome.
Make a change, we gotta push much farther.
Someday.
'Cause I'm feeling it deep in my heart.
Deep in my heart.
I do believe.
I do believe.
I do believe.
We shall overcome someday.
Come on, put your hearts together. Here we go. Woo! I knew it. God had a plan for us to do it. To hit rock bottom before we rise and continue. To first learn greed before we learn to be human. To do wrong deeds before we learn to spread beauty. There's always a plan, and now it's time to take a stand for the right of the planet, every woman and man. We ain't gonna stop, only growing our demands for all beings to feel peace in every heart and land. Thank you, Lord, for the strength and the courage to bring us together and keep our souls nourished. These tough times will only drown in our chorus, cause we all believe that the truth is before us. We shall overcome this pain. We shall overcome this day. We pray for love to lead the way.
We shall overcome someday.
We pray for love to lead the way.
We pray for love to lead the way on the International Day of Peace. May peace be with you, my friends. Been a joy to be with you. I will see some of you later. And those that I don't see, have a beautiful International Day of Peace. And the day has come, not someday, today. Bless you. So we will see you. Those that want to continue this conversation, George, you want to just say goodbye on behalf of Humanity Rising?
I think it has all been said very eloquently. God bless.
Thank you, George. Be well, everybody. See you soon. Thank you, George. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Miranda. Thank you, Stan, George, everybody. Blessings. Bye.